Hello everyone, welcome to the Geoecologist. I am Dr. Krishnanand and I welcome you all in this second part of this denudational processes. Today we are going to discuss about the second denudational process in the list, that is the process of erosion. So erosion along with its various types, all those important characteristics are the point of discussion in today's session. But before we go ahead, please like and subscribe to our channel and don't forget to share the videos with others as well. So now let's understand this denudational process part 2. So part 1 we have already studied as weathering, and part 2 of this process geomorphology is the erosion that we are going to study. So remember what we talked in the previous session was that erosion is removal of material from place A to place B. So it involves the transportation as well. That's what the process of erosion is. And weathering was just disintegration at the same place. So that is important. Now let's go ahead and learn more about erosion. So remember again, the denudational process continually shape the earth's surface. That is how it is important. They generate sediments, regulate rock cycle. That's how denudational processes are important. These processes result in variety of landforms on earth. That's how it is part of our geomorphology. And remember that they operate through these interactions among these geosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. So this is what we talk about is the operational part, that is the interactions among geosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere when we talk about these denudational processes. So when we talk about erosion, it is part of the same denudational process. So when we say erosion, it basically is what? The removal of weathered rock materials. So those rock materials which have now physically or chemically been disintegrated, now they are at particular position. Now what is happening to them? They are being removed from their original position. So that is important here. They may be removed from their original position because of this slope angle or through these agents of erosion, that is rainwater, wind, glacier. So anything can be as an agent of erosion, but the entire thing related to erosion is the removal of that weathered rock material, which is important. So away from the original site of weathering. So weathering was basically what? In situ, that is in situation, where it is there only. But erosion is removal from that in situ, away from that original site. So erosion process are driven primarily by their gradient, and gradient where transportation agents are important here, right? That's how the important agents like water, wind, glacier, all these things are important here, as well as the gravity, that is the slope angle. So that is how removal of material is also triggered by this downslope movement. The next important thing is these agents of erosion, as I was saying. So agents are those important factors that either accelerate or promote this factor, what we understand as erosion. So what are these? Water factor, that is important agent. So water of rivers, sea waves and torrential rainfall, as we say. Then wind factor, which is most prominent where? It is most prominent in desert, as water is more prominent along river or streams or sea waves on the coastal areas. Wind is prominent in the arid areas largely, in the desertic conditions largely, while ice is important as glaciers, so largely on the high mountain slopes, so that is where it is important, or in the periglacial or glacial areas of the north and south pole in northern and southern hemisphere on earth. Then we have gravity, that is the fourth important factor, that is the slope and gradient thing. So the angle or the degree of slope, which is known as the gradient of slope. So these are the major agents of erosion that we need to remember here. Now the next thing that we need to understand is how does this operate? So how does erosion take place? This is the question. So let's answer this question. So first agent we talk about is water. So water, when it is associated, the word comes in fluvial. Why? Because the word is actually flu, coming from flow, right? So it is fluid or flowing. So this word fluvialis basically means of a river, coming from Latin and related to fluor, which means basically to flow. So when we say erosion is taking place because of water, it means the process is fluvial in nature, right? So fluvial process. Then it erodes rocks and the landscapes by transporting weathered materials from their source to another location where they are deposited. So remember, water is an agent that helps in carrying these weathered rock materials from one location to the other, which is what we understand as fluvial erosion. The next important thing is that when we say fluvial erosion, so what are the main processes that happen while this transportation through this fluvial medium is there, through water is there? So what happens during this fluvial erosion? What are the processes? So remember the names of these processes and what these processes are. So the first one that we understand is abrasion. When we hear this word abrasion, what comes to your mind? The action is abrasive in nature. It basically is what we are talking here when the erosion of river bottom happens or the stream bottom happens and river bank by material being carried by river itself. So what is happening in abrasion? It is basically what? River is flowing and it is meanwhile picking up these small fragment of rocks, right? And this water along with this small fragment of rock is now hitting the surface that is beneath the river itself and sideways as well. So what you see here, it is impacting through these rock particles that is already carried by the water. So this kind of action where water hits the surface, even the side surface or the lower surface, remember what happens is the weapon is there in that particular water and that weapon is the smaller rock fragments. So that kind of action is called abrasive action and the process is called abrasion. Then the next important process is attrition or corrosion. Now abrasion is when it hits through that carrying medium, but attrition is or corrosion is when these important fragments of rocks which is being carried by water itself, they crash against each other. So remember when these interact among themselves while they are moving, so what happens? They start converting into again smaller fragments. So again this process is there and it keeps on transporting from one place to the other. So this process is called attrition or corrosion. So what happens? It is not happening between these two important things. So here it is happening between A and B. But remember when it is happening within, then it is attrition. So between is abrasion, within is attrition. Then what we have is corrosion. So this is again the word is corrosive, corrosion, remember corrode action. So chemical erosion happens. So what happens here? This occurs in streams running through chalk and limestone areas where there is a chemical reaction of water with the lime containing rocks or the chalk containing rocks. These happen. So what happens here? The chemical reaction happens and remember due to this chemical reaction there is a erosion happening. Then hydraulic action. The word is now hydraulic. So wherever hydraulic word comes in, remember there is a sense of pressure coming into the picture. So the water forces the air to be trapped and pressured into cracks. So remember if these sides of this valley have certain holes because of this removal of the material. So what happens? Now this water hits this particular space and what happens? The air in this between this water and this land is trapped. And this creates a pressure which is called hydraulic pressure and it further leads to the impact of this water, running water on these sides or the beneath the surface. So this is what the pressure leads to the caving of these sides at many places. In coastal areas, the coastal caves are formed because of this particular action which we understand as hydraulic action. So remember abrasion, that is hitting of these sides of the valley or the center of the valley or the beneath the surface valley by the river material which is being carried. Then attrition is breaking of the material which is being carried, so in between themselves. And then corrosion is the corrosive action which is chemical in nature, and hydraulic action is the pressure action which is trapped in between water and the surface. So these are the four major processes involved in fluvial erosion. Now the next agent is what we understand is the wind. So wind process is related to what something called aeolian process. So when we say aeolian process or aeolian erosion, remember the word Aeolus is basically god of winds in Latin. So Aeolus or Iolus is basically lord of the winds in Greek and Latin. So that is where this name is coming from. So wind action is important here. So wind erosion simply happens by the removal of these soil particles from the surface, as we know. So what happens if there is a surface and there are weathered rock fragments here? So wind picks it up and it further goes ahead and deposits it somewhere else. So that is how those sand dunes are formed in the desert. You must have seen it somewhere. Then What is important to remember here is that this kind of erosion by wind depends upon certain factors. So what are those factors? First is the size of these soil particles. So if these are larger soil particles, important is that wind will not be able to carry it further unless it is very heavy or very fast in nature. So that is important. The second is the cloudiness, which is the lumping factor. So if soil is in the form of lump, then it is heavier, so it will not be able to carry it. So the size and the lump factor becomes important. And the third, obviously, the important factor is the velocity of this wind. So the velocity of wind, that is what we understand as the direction of wind in a particular area, is important along with its speed. So that is what we study as wind velocity. And if it is not high in velocity, it will not be able to carry these weathered rock materials or soil particles to a longer distance. So it all depends upon these three factors, that how far will this particle travel. That is important here in wind or aeolian erosion. So when we studied about water, we understood those processes. Same happens here, that wind erosion occurs in three processes. So what are the names here? Creeping, saltation and suspension. So if you can look here, what is happening in the first image, the wind is pushing these smaller fragments in a particular direction, right? So moving from one place along the surface. So when it is along the surface, along the land surface, okay, it's not in the air now, but it is pushed by the air. That is what we call as creeping. So remember, creeping is close to the ground or the surface. So touching the surface while moving from one place to the other. That is what creeping is. Then the next is saltation. So as you can see in this particular image, what is happening? The fragments are jumping from one place, again going to the other place, right? So this jumping action is what we understand as saltation of these particles. So wind removes from one place and it keeps jumping from one place to the other, and meanwhile it is jumping, it also leads to this something called attrition here as well. So this attrition is what again? Two particles colliding in mid-air. There it was in mid-water. So attrition is the same process here also happens. And then the third one is what we see is suspension. So when velocity of wind is enough to carry these in the air completely away from the ground, then it is called airborne particles, and that is part of the suspension. That is, in the air it is suspended. So now what we need to understand here is that creeping happens when soil particles are larger than 0.5 millimeter. But if it is 1 to 0.5, that is 0.1 to 0.5 millimeter, then saltation happens. And if it is less than 0.1 millimeter in size, then only this happens. That is what we understand as sandblasting or abrasion. Because what happens? The wind is now carrying these airborne particles, and if there is a rock fragment or a rocky surface in the area, it hits with all its might. And what happens? These are again the important weapons of the wind. So what happens? It creates these holes or deflation hollows in this particular surface. So that is what we call as sandblasting. So remember the process: creeping, saltation, attrition and suspension, that leads to this particular erosion by wind, that is called aeolian erosion. Now the next important process is the glacial process, that is the ice, how it erodes. So remember, when ice or glacial erosion is concerned, there are two major processes. One is called plucking and the other is called abrasion. Remember, abrasion we have already studied in water action as well. So abrasion is same. When the glacier picks up the material and with the same material it hits the surface again, then it erodes the surface. So this is called abrasion, as we know. So abrasion leads to this scratches on the surface. So this is what is happening here. What we see is zone of abrasion. But before that, there is something called plucking. What is this plucking? If somebody told you, have you ever plucked a flower? So what did you do? You just took that flower like this and just picked it up. So what happens? The same thing happens when glacier is there. It moves along the corrie, that what we see is the cross section of a glaciated valley, that is the entire wall with this glacier. This is called corrie. So along the corrie, when this glacier is moving down the slope, what happens? While moving, it picks up these important fragments. So if the surface initially was like this, after a glacier moves, the surface now looks like this, because the surface has now removed these important materials. Now these have been removed, these have been plucked out. So this is what we pluck out. That is what we call as plucking. So whenever the word plucking comes in, remember it is talking about glacial erosion. So that is important here. And when these scratches are there because of this abrasive action on a glacier, so remember that scratch what we see is called glacial striations. So it looks like somebody, if you scratch your skin in winters, what happens? Those white lines come out, right? So because of the dryness of the skin, it's similar. So a glacial surface does not look smooth when the glacier passes on it because of the glacial erosion. Glacial erosion does not make a surface smooth. It tries to do these striations. It scratches the surface. So water smoothens the surface, glacier scratches the surface. That is the major difference that we need to remember in the erosional process by glacier. And finally, the last important factor in the erosional factor that we study here is the gravity influence. So we understand the degree of slope matters here. So facilitates the downslope transportation of these loosened weathered rock materials. So that is important. It enables them to move without the aid of water, wind or ice. So remember, if water is not there, wind is not there, ice factor is not there, then also if the rocks are here and it is disintegrated, it will automatically tumble down. Why? Because of this influence of gravity. In details, when we study the gravity factor, we study about mass wasting in the lecture to come. So gravity related erosion is a major component of mass wasting events that we study. So in next lecture, we are going to study about the third denudational process, that is mass wasting. So now, when we have already studied about the second important denudational process today, that is the process of erosion, its various types, its characteristics, all those factors. So now, in the sessions to come, we are going to learn more on the denudational process, that is mass wasting. So stay tuned, stay safe, and all the best wishes.